You clicked on this video for a reason. Deep down, some part of you already knows that the greatest regret isn't failure. It's realizing too late that you lived a life that wasn't truly yours. And the tragedy is, it doesn't happen in some dramatic collapse. It happens quietly, piece by piece. Through small compromises you told yourself didn't matter. Through every time you silenced your voice to keep the peace, or twisted the truth to fit in. One day, without even knowing how it happened, you look in the mirror and no longer recognize who's looking back. That isn't fate. It's the result of patterns, silent ones, and Friedrich Nietzsche saw it all unfolding long before our time. Beneath his anger, beneath the sharpness of his words, was a message many won't accept until life forces them to. Either you wake up now, or you suffer later. If you're still here, if you're still listening, then that means there's time. But not for comfort. Time for truth. The first thing most of us were never taught was how to think. We were simply trained to obey. From the very beginning, the system wasn't built to cultivate independent minds. It was designed to produce compliant ones. You were told to sit still, raise your hand, memorize facts, repeat answers, pass the test. But not once were you really asked, what do you believe? Instead, you were taught what to think and praised for repeating it. Nietzsche believed this robbed people of their spirit, the unique core that makes a person more than a machine. The crowd doesn't reward thinkers, it rewards conformists. That's why so many grow up mistaking obedience for intelligence. They become professionals at blending in, playing roles and checking off boxes, but somewhere along the way, they forget how to ask real questions. They forget how to listen to their own mind. And once that happens, they haven't just lost their independence, they've lost their identity. Most people say they want the truth, but Nietzsche didn't buy that, because when you actually show people the truth, raw, unpolished and disruptive, they don't thank you. They recoil, because comfort, even if it's built on lies, feels safer than truth that demands change. And comfort is addictive. It's soft, familiar, predictable. But truth is often ugly, cold, and inconvenient. People surround themselves with slogans and easy answers, not because they're bad, but because they're scared. They don't want to wake up. They want to be soothed. And Nietzsche called this out in every era. The truth doesn't soften itself for your feelings. It just stands unapologetically, revealing the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Most people spend their lives running from that reality. But no matter how far they run, it eventually catches them. And when it does, it's usually too late to rebuild. Pain is the teacher most people spend their lives trying to avoid. But Nietzsche saw it as the mirror that finally tells the truth. To live, he wrote, is to suffer, and to survive, you must find meaning in your suffering. The emotions you fear, they're road signs. What hurts you reveals what you're attached to. What breaks you shows you what you've been ignoring. And what you fight against points to who you believe yourself to be. Yet, instead of listening to our pain, we bury it. We medicate, we distract, we numb. But pain doesn't vanish. It waits. It festers. It grows stronger in the dark. Until one day it forces you to confront it, on its terms. Nietzsche didn't believe in running from pain. He believed in walking directly into it. Because what you confront, you can overcome, and what you avoid will eventually own you. Most people only understand this after wasting years dodging the very thing that could have made them whole. There is something seductive about being part of a crowd. It gives you identity, direction, even a sense of belonging. But Nietzsche warned us, the crowd isn't wise, it's just loud. It doesn't think, it reacts. It doesn't question, it repeats. And the more people it gathers, the more dangerous it becomes. He wrote, insanity in individuals is rare, but in groups, parties, nations and epochs, it is the rule. And he was right. Most people don't chase truth, they chase approval. They build their lives around fitting in with people who are just as confused as they are. They sacrifice their uniqueness for the comfort of belonging. And by the time they realize the crowd was wrong, they've already lost their individuality just to feel accepted. Kindness, we're told, is a virtue. Be nice, be generous, be agreeable. But Nietzsche didn't glorify blind kindness. He saw that kindness without strength quickly becomes weakness. Because the world doesn't pause for your good intentions. Takers don't stop taking just because you're generous. Predators don't leave you alone because you're polite. Nietzsche believed the weak often lie, not because they're dishonest, but because they're not strong enough to be honest. You start hiding your needs, suppressing your boundaries, and shrinking your truth in the name of keeping the peace. But that kind of peace isn't peace, it's submission. True kindness must be paired with strength. Otherwise, you don't uplift others, you lose yourself. Most people only learn this after years of betrayal by friends, partners, and even themselves. Discipline, Nietzsche knew, isn't about motivation or hustle, it's about self-respect. Most people wait for the right mood, the perfect moment, the inspiring quote. But if you wait to feel ready, you've already surrendered your power. Discipline is doing what matters, not because you feel like it, but because it aligns with who you are. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't do it because you're inspired. You do it because it's part of your identity. When you tie action to emotion, your life becomes unstable. But when you tie it to your values, you become solid. Most people think they have a motivation problem, but what they really have is a respect problem. As you grow, you'll notice something uncomfortable. People support your growth until it challenges their comfort. They cheer you on until your evolution forces them to confront their own stagnation. Your ambition becomes a mirror to their complacency. Your boundaries threaten their expectations. And suddenly, the people who once loved you will distance themselves, mock you, or say you've changed. They're not wrong, you have. Most relationships aren't built to withstand transformation. They were built on the version of you that stayed the same. And when you outgrow that version, the relationship often ends. Everyone has a shadow, the hidden self that includes all the parts you've been told not to show. Your anger, your shame, your jealousy, your ambition. Nietzsche, like Jung after him, knew that suppressing this shadow only gives it more power. The more you deny it, the more it controls you from the dark. It leaks into your decisions, your reactions, your sabotaging habits. It lashes out when you're close to peace, whispers self-doubt when things start going well. Most people think being good means being harmless, but Nietzsche believed that real strength comes not from hiding your darkness, but from integrating it. Because when you face your shadow, you stop being ruled by it. Ignore it, and eventually you'll ruin something you love and blame everything but yourself. One of the most dangerous traps in life is people-pleasing. It wears the mask of kindness, but Nietzsche saw it for what it is. Fear, fear of being rejected, fear of being alone, fear of conflict. When you constantly adjust who you are to meet others' expectations, you lose touch with your own instincts. You second-guess yourself. You dilute your truth. People-pleasing doesn't make you generous. It makes you invisible. And over time, you teach people to love your performance, not your person. The worst part, one day you'll realize that no one around you knows the real you, and that you trained them not to. And then there's the deeper void, the quiet emptiness that creeps in even after you've done everything right. You followed the rules. You earned the degrees. You built the resume. You stayed out of trouble. And yet you still feel hollow. Why? Because you were chasing someone else's definition of a meaningful life. You checked the boxes but never asked, "What's mine to do?" Nietzsche warned against this, mistaking structure for substance. It's not more achievement that fills the void, it's truth. It's doing what aligns with your soul, not just your checklist. In today's world, attention is everywhere, and meaning is rare. We've mistaken visibility for value. But Nietzsche would remind us that attention is a performance, meaning is personal. It's sacred. It comes not from being seen by others, but from seeing yourself clearly. Most people chase applause, then wonder why they still feel invisible. By the time they realize the difference, they've built an identity they can't escape and lost a self they barely knew. And death. We treat it like the enemy, but Nietzsche saw it as the final mirror. It strips away illusions. It clarifies what matters. He posed a question that still haunts us. If you had to live this same life again and again for eternity, would you? Most couldn't say yes. And that's the point. Death isn't there to scare you. It's there to wake you up, to remind you that time is not endless, and that it's not dying that most people fear. It's never having lived. The final brutal truth Nietzsche left us with is this: real freedom will cost you everything that was fake. Your false identities, your performative friendships, your need to be liked, your illusions of safety. Freedom is terrifying. It means standing alone in your truth, saying no when it costs you approval, letting go of what's familiar. Most people flirt with freedom. They like the idea of it. But the moment the shedding begins, the fear sets in, and they retreat. But Nietzsche believed that until you lose everything that isn't truly yours, you'll never discover what is. You've now heard 13 of the most painful, liberating truths people usually learn too late. Nietzsche didn't share these to shame or intimidate. He shared them to awaken. Each truth is a choice. You can ignore them and stay safe, or you can face them and begin again. Maybe you're not ready to change everything. That's okay. Awareness always comes before action. But if even one of these truths stirred something inside you, don't let it fade.